And it seems to me like good people were the difference this time. No disrespect to who you worked with before, but it feels like you really chose your collaborators very deliberately on this album.
Yeah. Well, I think my rule, thank you. I think my rule, has been, I don't want to work with anyone who doesn't want to work with me. I think I just found my group. And I think I'm getting better and better, but I only know that means it's because of the people I'm surrounded by that inspire me, that challenge me. And I think the past few years, or hell, decade if you want, I think I was really kind of hurting. And I think that prevented me from doing a lot more creatively or even content-wise of what I wanted to say. I'm interested, and I was in the studio last night. I was like, I actually just kind of want to keep going, which I never do. Now I get to have more say, too, when it comes to even putting the music together. I was always so scared to speak up with producers. Now I know most of them so well that I just give them shit. And I'm always just like, well, I don't, I've never done that really before where I'd have a conversation. And it was an important experience for me.
Were there times when you were making the record during that 4 years when you were, like you say, in pain, where you wondered whether or not you would ever get another album or body of work out, or that it would take even longer than it has, that you wanted to throw in the towel and maybe just walk away from that process?
Maybe, but I was under a contract. So, maybe. But when I would have those moments, it never lasted. It was almost like I'd have the low moment and then be like, no, f it. I gotta keep going. I've got to, now I feel like I need to say something. And then there's a period where I don't have anything to say. And it just would pick up quickly when I needed it to happen.
Who were some of the people that you, aside from your collaborators, the small group of people that you kind of, I suppose, went to say, is this good? Am I on the right path? Am I making sense? Am I speaking my truth? Right. Is it good enough?
I didn't.
Wow.
I didn't have anyone listen. It needed to be something that I liked.
For you to take on that challenge to a degree yourself whilst going through this challenging time, that can be, ultimately fulfilling, but at the time, I'm sure there were lonely moments, where you, like you say, that makes the doubt even more kind of prevalent, doesn't it? When you're kind of on your own trying to work out, navigate your way through this static to find some clarity of vision.
Right. I mean, it's safe to say that I was sad. It's like, whatever. But I think to me, it's such a distant thought. I'm not in that place anymore. And I think maybe before I used to lie and say that so that people would get it, but I kind of show everything that I'm feeling in my face.
Yeah.
But it's not even, I can't even go there anymore if I tried. It just doesn't seem like it's a part of me anymore. Any of those ties, soul ties, or mental stuff, everything going on, it's all of it's under control, and this is where I'm going, and I see it very clearly.
So there's a lot of liberation on this record.
Yep.
And even the moments when, you're diving into subject matter to resolve it for yourself, it feels like you're doing so with the purpose of trying to get to a liberated place. And so I wondered, at the end of the process, what did you let go of? What did you no longer need in your life once you'd kind of been through this process of writing this album and getting out the other side?
Well, I definitely had to get probably the most toxic thing out of my life first. Then it started becoming being a bit more vocal. I am naturally a people pleaser, so it's just more kind of saying, no, this isn't what I'm going to do. I started noticing, people were putting, that were setting up sessions, it seemed like favors or something. It kind of got confusing for me. And I think that's why one of the many reasons why I tend to just always go with Ian, Julia, and Justin.
Trust.
Loyalty, trust, understanding. Don't give a shit about the industry, then believe in the art and believe in music and believe in what I'm saying. I have the greatest label. I'm so grateful for John and all of that. That's not really what I'm describing. I guess it's just, it is weird. And especially being in the position that I'm in as a pop artist, it is harder when it's like, oh, we're having all these things because we think you should sound like this.
Yeah.
I learned a lot this past year about how to navigate that.
So when you write a lyric like, people go from people you know to people you don't, surely that's like a great moment for you, a moment where you recognize that's just a part of humanity.
That one's funny because it was actually my friend Liz. It was her friend that had the hook, and so it was actually random because it came out of nowhere.
God, take it.
Which was really fun.
Yeah.
Everyone goes through it, you know? We go through seasons. People are meant to be in your life for some, and others they're not.
I think if you accept that, though, that's an ultimately positive thing, isn't it? When you realize that if you stop holding on so tight
Yeah.
to the
I
idea.
hated change. I mean, I kind of still do. But every time I'm on the other side, I'm like, I get it. Thank you for that one. Needed that.
What did you get? Like, what do you get from when you come out the other side? What do you recognize? What do you realize? What do you learn from it?
Okay, good example is, I would say it's about 8-10 years. It was really painful. And I think when Lose You to Love Me came out, and the reaction it got, I definitely knew it was a special song. I didn't know that it was going to become what it was.
It's your first number one, and people responded to it in such a huge way.
I think when that happened, I had a moment where I said, I completely get it. The agony, the confusion, the self-doubt, all of that wrapped up into that song. That was a moment where I got it. I needed that. I went through that for something like this for other people. And that was a really special moment.
I can't think of anyone who's lived the kind of life you've lived and you're still only 27 years old. To be launching a music career at 17 with what you'd already done, and then to go through the process of growth and identifying and understanding who you are, all in the space of the public eye. And you worked the whole time. How hard was it to find a balance? Was that one of the biggest challenges, finding the balance between work and you? Because you didn't stop working. Even when you were getting sick, you still worked.
Yeah, I think I needed to because it kept me going. So sometimes I pushed myself too far. When I did have to take moments and step back, I didn't find that it was embarrassing or that I was letting myself down or letting fans down. It meant that I needed to make sure. I didn't want to get to a certain age where it was almost too late, that I didn't figure this stuff out. And I had been going through all of these different emotions, not specifically within relationships. It's personal, it's, bigger than that. It's people at home. There was a lot there. And I'm grateful because it has brought me through all of it. But I have this relationship with my job and my work that keeps me going. I know it's kind of stupid, but I always say to my fans that they have saved me from a lot of situations. You're built up just for them to knock you down. It keeps going. It's going to keep happening. But what stayed consistent in my life was that. And because of social media, which I'm able to have more of an intimate relationship with them, and that's, I draw my boundaries to a specific point, but it's literally people that I've known for years. And that meant so much to me. So,
to get the best out of your collaborators and the best out of each experience in a recording studio, you have to be as honest and open with each other as possible. How was that for you, knowing that you were going to dredge up details and examples and stories and even people by name and share that with people in a trusted environment? Like, I don't see how you could have made Rare without doing that. The subject matter on the record, as well as you're hiding it and keeping it to yourself and letting us work it out. I figure you got to go there to be able to dress it up different.
It didn't even needed to be
Spoken.
said.
Yeah.
And it's not because I wanted any sort of spotlight on that situation. If anything, I'm wanting the spotlight completely separated.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in a vindictive way. It was simply like, okay, I actually have my part to say. And I waited. I wasn't just, irrationally doing something to just be like coming from a place of, I'm over it. That's not where I was. When it all came together, it just felt right. And I was okay with that. Other than the fact that they pay attention a bit more to my personal life than maybe others, it's going to be you know, it's going to be gone in a day. There's going to be another story. There's going to be something else. So people will ultimately know, yes, where the inspiration came from, but then it kind of ends there.
Yeah, right. There's a song on the record that comes in second, which is
Dance Again.
Yeah, Dance Again, which is, you know, borderline kind of house, techno, throw yourself on the dance floor.
That?
It's so much fun. And what's cool about it is
that.
it has all the emotion that you want from a great dance record. It's not just this kind of like bolsterous, hands in the air banger, like cliche.
Right.
It's like, nah, man, it draws you in and it makes you really think. You emote when you listen to it, and you'll emote when you dance to it, which I think is the perfect kind of dance music.
Yeah, and it kind of complemented Vulnerable, because when we wrote the record, it was we were just talking about the next kind of chapter of when I step into meeting someone. It's like, if I were to give you all of these things, are you able to do that? I expect that. If not, I'm totally okay letting that go, but I'm still gonna remain vulnerable. I'm still going to remain open and okay with my emotions, okay with being pissed or sad or upset about it. So it kind of complemented that. Dance Again is saying I'm able to get back to that.
That's Justin? Yeah. Come and sit down. Let's talk about this record and dive into it. And two.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Welcome.
As you heard, Selena Gomez is releasing her brand new album, which is called Rare. We're now joined for part two
And I hope you like it.
by her esteemed colleagues, Justin Tranter, Julie Michaels. Great to see you.
Like that.
Good afternoon.
Great to see you, darling.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
This is part of the loyalty crew.
Hell yeah.
This is part of the crew that, if I may say, is someone who, and I'll just be, you're honest with me, I'll be honest with you.
Do it.
Up until Revival, I can't say I was an expert in Selena Gomez
Yeah.
as a musician.
Yeah.
It was your collaboration as the three of you that really got my attention.
Yeah.
It was when I felt like, oh, wow, there's something really unique going on here. And there's like my favorite kind of subversion, which is taking what I thought I knew about somebody and ripping it to shreds. Selena, do you have one that jumps out that really kind of, that you'll carry with you, or that you think about this album now, it's done and it's out and it's ours before you let it go completely? Like, is there one kind of really special memory that you'll carry with you from the experience?
Well, to what Julia said, definitely Lose You. I had an amazing time working on Vulnerable. The conversation that led up to what the song is and the meaning behind it was really fun for me and special. Then Look at Her Now. Fun was actually fun.
I was gonna say, fun was
Fun.
a good time.
Yeah. Just literally, she was like, let's write a song that says fun. And I was like, great.
Wait, that's a good word, fun. Like, we've covered some heavy ground in this, right? But this is a fun record. There's fun songs on this record. There's one called Fun.
Yeah.
Those two.
Of course
Right.
it is. I mean, that's just, man, okay, we'll get to fun in a second, but I have to say, like, you love words and you love words. Like, that is a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
And so when you guys first connected and started doing that, it must have been fantastic. And also to move into this album too, like, what's one of your favorite songwriting moments on this record, the two of you think, if you can find a common one?
Lose You to Love Me happened when I had come home from tour. It was on Valentine's Day that we wrote it. And I think that's probably one
That
of
is
my
a
favorite.
powerful moment on Valentine's. That's like,
Yeah,
wow.
right? And it was also our first time seeing you
Yeah.
in so long.
Yeah,
So
since
I
I got back.
think it was just one of my favorites just because we were all like reunited again
Yeah.
and doing it again.
And where had you been? Where were you coming back from?
Treatment center.
Wow. And so when you walked in that room, did you have a line or an inkling or an emotion that you knew you had to cover, or did you just let it happen naturally?
Well, usually Julia texts me. It's kind of like how it works when everyone's kind of getting in the studio. When she asked me, I felt it was kind of overdone, the subject. And I just said, I'm sorry that this is what I'm going to give you, but I'm still not fully done with this. She's like, got it. And so when I walked in, and it was literally just the piano and the chorus and a bit of the first verse, and I just like sat there. And I tell people this too because it was also such a very raw moment. I had just gotten back, but B, we were in the bright daylight, you know, and that's not normally how you're maybe talking about something like that. And then, you know, Julie had to leave.
It's a human album. Like I said, it's a human album, and they're as equally important as each other.
Yeah.
You can't live deep all the time. You go crazy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to write a song like Crowded Room.
There is this this married couple that I'm friends with.
Yeah.
They're older and they're awesome. And they had told me this story, which was really sweet, very cheesy, but adorable. They do a lot socially. So they're in rooms a lot, they're with a lot of people. And one of their things that they do is that they're not always together, which I love, I admire. They're like, we don't really stay in every moment, we go and do our own thing. And throughout the night or day or whatever they're doing, they'll just kind of make eye contact and do this and then turn away, which means you're my number one. And it's just a check-in. And it's kind of cheesy, but I thought that was so sweet.
That's cool.
And so the concept of crowded room and it feeling, you know, that it's just you two is very romantic and it's fun. And then to get Black on it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you picked your collaborators brilliantly. I mean, why did Black come to mind? I mean, apart from being a great melodic writer and a fantastic artist.
So we had discussed features, and at first I didn't want any.
Yeah.
We were kind of going through what, you know, who would want to do it, but would sound great and complement. For me, it's his tone and his it's his voice as well. So it's kind of the rapping part, but it's the singing. And, so I was blown away when I got his cut, because obviously they go and do their thing, and so it was awesome.
Except for the Cuddy thing. I mean, the Cuddy thing sounds like it was far more of a genuine old school collaboration.
Yes.
How did that come about? I have to ask. I mean, he's one of the cornerstone artists of our time.
Yes, so I went into the studio with MNEK and Madison. Everyone was kind of saying, maybe we should do up-tempo. And I said, I don't know, let's try something acoustic. Messed around with that. I didn't like it, didn't work. We scratched the idea. And I kind of got exhausted, so I said, I want to do something weird like Kid Cudi. And I mean that in a compliment. And I didn't know what that was going to be, so we were listening to different sounds, but I just had that melody when they were saying, what does that mean, you know? And I'm like, something where he's so good at storytelling, but changing it up with every line, it almost has a character to it. That's when the melody came about, where it has that kind of sing-song, like playground type of chorus. And so we had nothing to it. It was just that. Then we did the verses. And without my permission, which will never happen again.
Wow.
Because I have a major fear of rejection. And so I think they know that I also don't, it's not take advantage. It's just like I'm scared to ask artists, especially certain artists that are particular. So someone sent the record to his management. Apparently, he had heard it that exact day, and he loved it. So then they told me, and I remember exactly how it went down. I was like, what? I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, no, you're kidding. And then I was like, how? How the hell did he know?
Oh, man.
And then it was that moment where I found out, and I was kind of like, yes, amazing. I'm so excited.
And you're so fired?
There was just, no, there was a bit of just, I was a little annoyed, but it was perfect. And so he wanted to have a phone call. And that's when I had told him, as far as production-wise, I said, I would trust you on this. You know, I've built this part up, and if you like it, I know kind of course, I know your ability and what you can see. So I'd actually love to know what you feel and hear what you feel for the record. Then he came to LA, and we were in the studio for 2 days. It was very, very scary at one point because cutting notes is like the scariest thing in the world to me. But I had ideas for the intro and stuff, and his response to that made me feel so comfortable because it ended up working. And it was so great that it happened that way.
We've learned a lot today over the course of this two-part interview. We've been through triumph and tribulation, a decade past that hopefully will never be dredged up and discussed again, and a fresh start at 2020 with a new album called Rare, which promises so much and delivers even more. But before we go, we have one more all-important question for the fans.
That was good.
I think it's kind of hot when you do that. You should
Thanks, Josh.
do that more often.
Thanks, Josh. In 2016, you did 55 dates, and you toured faithfully that album Revival. And I look back on your timeline now, I'm amazed you did it. I can't believe you found the strength to be able to do that tour, but you did it. So your work ethic is right up there.
Thank you.
But new decade, are you going to tour? Are you feeling excited about playing live? Do you want to do it?
It's my favorite thing. Besides film, it's my favorite thing in the entire world, is actually connecting and having moments with everyone, because it's theirs. They've taken what I have and have made it theirs, and to see physically what that means to people brings me to tears every time. It's also mind-blowing that I am in a space with that many people. As far as doing it within this year, I think I need to find ways where that's possible for me. And that's just about the pace and you know, I'm gonna do something hopefully that's just not as typical, and I hope it's not. I don't want people to think it's lazy, but I just don't think some of the production and things like that need to be as big as they were for me personally. I think my favorite part is just like talking to them. And sometimes all that other stuff is a distraction from who I actually am.
Yeah.
So I think I would do it differently. And I do want to, so we'll see.
I mean, I hope you're proud of the record. You should be.
I am.
You know, I mean, to get to where you've got to over the course of, I think from 2015 to now, that's the arc. That's the arc that I see.
Yeah.
And I hear on this record. And so, you know, start to finish, super tasteful, really honest, really straight up album. And you said you wanted to keep going. Are you going to keep creating?
Yeah.
Straight back in?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the studio last night. I don't know, yeah, but it's always casual. It's like, it's usually,
If
if
it lands, it
anyone's
lands.
available, then we'll do it. And if everyone wants to, then we'll do it.
Maybe some outtakes, maybe some first verses, some purge verses. Maybe see the light of day one day on a particularly brave and honest moment.
I've already been pretty honest, so.
You are an honest human being. Well, I really appreciate that. It's always more fun when someone's willing to move into an environment where they tell their truth, but never at the sacrifice of their own well-being. And I think you do that really well. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.